Color analysis client story time. Yesterday was such a lovely day, and it's because I'm going to put on the screen in a second a client email that I received, and I have permission from this particular client to share the text of her email and a little bit of the progression of her color analysis with you. About a year ago, this client signed up for my virtual color analysis service and received a true winter result. And I never heard back from her for many months later. And what happened in between when she initially signed up for her color analysis and received the true winter result, and I'm going to say 6 to 7 months later, in that time, she decided to, in a different submission, submit another submission for her, but it was a different name. You wouldn't ever, in my system, look the new submission up and relate it to the old submission. And in that second submission, she received a true autumn result. And I'm going to say about a month later, after the second submission, she wrote in and said, what's going on here? I'm actually the same person, and here's one result you gave me, and here's another result you gave me. Which one's right? And so then I sort of took a step back and said, okay, let's look at the first submission and the second submission. And looking at the second submission, you would think it was a different person to the first submission. When you submit for a virtual color analysis, it's a whole portfolio of information we're requesting from you. And if you aren't providing an honest portrayal of the breadth of your coloring over time and what have you, then it's possible you would get a different result. And literally, again, between submission 1 and submission 2, this person looked like a different person. And in fact, when I review her detailed emails around that time, she actually wanted to be a warmer palette than the true winter palette. So perhaps her subconsciously submission 2 reflected that. This also happens in-person color analysis. It's not a virtual or in-person thing. I get with virtual, we're dealing with photos, but what happens in person if we're going down a cool undertone path, and let's say the client didn't want to be cool. I've seen in many situations where color analysts are talked out of going down the cool path by the client. The client may say, oh, but yellows are terrible on me. I get no compliments in yellows or whatever have you. I actually have seen that happen in the in-person realm where color analysis people, or professionals, are talked out of going down a particular path. So if you want to be a palette, there's ways to get there. Even in like social media posts in these groups that I see, if somebody really wants to be a palette, they'll just skew the pictures. Like, let's say they get a result that they don't want to be. I've seen pictures out there where the picture posted with the result they don't want to be is them without makeup and terrible lighting, and then the picture of the palette they want to be is this sort of glowing, sparkly image, even though that palette actually might not be correct. I mean, no disrespect to this client saying this, but what happened next was when those submissions, submission 1 and submission 2, were looked at together, true winter was an obvious result. You can't just give us one piece of the puzzle in a submission without giving the full piece, and the full picture showed true winter. So this person received, after looking at submission 1 and submission 2 combined, I came back and said, you're a true winter. Right? The submission 2 did not show, an accurate breadth of your coloring. And so they went away, and then we received a few more emails from this particular client, frustrated. And I've said in many videos that I stick to what I see. And so yes, perhaps the responses that I send might seem, very cold and harsh, but that's the result. And so, but I will say on my end, if you actually work around me and know me, I'm like all fudge inside, and I'm actually over here behind my computer crying for the person on the other end. It's hard to say, nope, I'm not going to talk about another palette at all. That's a hard thing to do from my perspective. This person, even after the back and forth and her frustration with the true winter result, even tried to submit again, but she used her real name, and I just instantly said, provide her with a full refund. I told her we are not going to discuss her true winter result anymore. And yesterday, I received this email from this particular person. And again, I have permission to share all of this. And the essence of this email is, a year later, she has realized she is a true winter. It took her a bit to get here. And I will say, sometimes it takes people 5 years, sometimes it takes a week, a month, what have you. But for the most part, when I don't budge on results, over time, whatever time people need, they actually realize that they are the result. Perhaps they weren't ready to hear at the time that in this particular case, this person is a true winter. Perhaps she wasn't ready for it. No apology is required. She talks about apologizing here. No apology is required at all. This really is just I'm getting my pom-poms, a hooray story for me, that, the full circle is closed now, that this particular client, has arrived at the fact and accepted the fact that she is a true winter. I actually responded to this email saying, I apologize for not budging and being sort of professional and cold, and say, this is what you are, and we sort of go away, for lack of better words, but being professional. And then she followed up with a second email, which said that she appreciates that I never budged. And many people do at the end of the day. It's hard in the short run. And again, I'm melting on this end. But when they get to this sort of state and are appreciative, that makes me so warm and fuzzy. Hopefully me sharing this chain of events and story helps you if you're still in processing your result mode, and which may take you a long time, and there's nothing wrong with that. And who's saying that you even have to wear those colors? Wear what you love. But I certainly offer a service where I tell you what I see, and that's what I do. And you don't have to wear it at the end of the day, but I have every confidence in the long run. If you open up to the palette, you will love it. So thank you so much to this client for sharing this very emotional journey with all of us. And I'm so happy for you. Yay, true winter. And I'm excited for your journey in color analysis and shopping for your true winter colors.